Do you ever feel like something is off in a relationship, but you can't fully explain it? Like you slowly became anxious, emotionally exhausted, and unsure of yourself, while the other person somehow stayed in control the entire time? Because here's the truth, most men never hear. Not every narcissist looks loud, aggressive, arrogant, or openly cruel, until you get close enough to realize everything revolves around them. If you want real conversations about modern relationships, emotional intelligence, masculine self-respect, and psychology, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment truth below. Because today we're talking about the 7 most common female narcissistic traits. And some of these signs are so subtle that many men don't recognize them until the emotional damage is already done. Now, before we begin, this is not about attacking women. And it's definitely not about diagnosing anyone. Real narcissistic personality disorder is a clinical condition that should only be evaluated by trained professionals. But narcissistic traits, manipulative patterns, emotionally destructive behavior, those things are very real, and understanding them can save you from years of confusion. It doesn't. Female narcissism often looks different, more emotional, more psychological, more socially hidden. And honestly, that's exactly what makes it dangerous. Because the manipulation usually doesn't begin with cruelty. It begins with charm. Trait number 1, appearance obsession. At first, it doesn't seem like a big deal. She cares deeply about her appearance. She needs attention. She wants compliments. She constantly posts photos online. She becomes emotionally attached to validation from other people. But for the narcissistic woman, appearance is not just self-expression. It becomes emotional power. Attention becomes emotional oxygen. Validation becomes survival. Admiration becomes addiction. She enters a room and immediately scans for reactions. Who noticed her? Who complimented her? Who seemed impressed? And if another woman receives more attention than her, everything changes. That's when the jealousy appears, not normal insecurity, not harmless envy, a deeper resentment, because in her mind, attention is limited. If someone else shines brighter, she feels invisible. And that's why narcissistic women often become extremely critical toward women they secretly envy, especially attractive women, confident women, peaceful women. The insults usually begin subtly: passive-aggressive jokes, backhanded compliments, public embarrassment, fake concern disguised as kindness. But underneath all of it, there's competition. Because her self-worth was never built internally. It was built through comparison. A healthy woman can admire another woman without feeling threatened. A narcissistic woman often cannot, because another person's beauty feels like a personal attack on her identity. And men get trapped here all the time, because externally she appears confident, but internally she is constantly fighting shame, insecurity, inferiority, and fear of being ordinary. Trait number 2, seduction as manipulation. Now listen carefully. Seduction itself is not toxic. Attraction is normal, chemistry is normal, flirting is normal. But narcissistic seduction is different, because it's not about connection, it's about control. The female narcissist studies people emotionally. She identifies status, influence, attention, resources, or emotional vulnerability. Then she adapts herself to become irresistible to that target. At first, you feel chosen, special, like she understands you better than anyone else ever has. She mirrors your personality, laughs at your jokes, agrees with your values, makes you feel emotionally seen. The narcissistic woman knows exactly how to make that man feel important, but eventually the mask slips, because once attachment forms, control begins. Now your attention feeds her ego. Now your approval becomes expected. Now your emotional reactions become entertaining to her. And if she senses you pulling away, suddenly she becomes affectionate again. That emotional hot and cold cycle creates confusion. One week she feels loving. The next week she feels emotionally absent. And that inconsistency creates emotional addiction. That's when the confusion starts. Trait number 3, false confidence. This surprises a lot of people because narcissistic women often appear extremely confident. But real confidence doesn't need to humiliate others. Real confidence doesn't collapse when somebody else succeeds. Narcissistic confidence is fragile, artificial, built on superiority. She feels stronger when somebody else feels smaller. That's why she constantly compares herself to other people, why she criticizes others, why she dismisses accomplishments, because internally she's trying to escape feelings of inadequacy. And many men completely miss this. At first, her confidence feels attractive, magnetic even, but over time you realize the relationship only works when she feels above you. The moment you improve yourself, something changes. You become healthier, more successful, more respected, more emotionally grounded. Instead of supporting your growth, she becomes colder, more critical, more distant, more irritated. Because your growth threatens the hierarchy she secretly created inside her mind. Because they believed love meant mutual growth. But narcissism does not want partnership. It wants dominance. Trait number 4, money and status obsession. Now there's nothing wrong with ambition. Nothing wrong with wanting financial stability or success. But for the narcissistic woman, money becomes identity. Status becomes emotional validation. Everything becomes performance. The expensive clothes, the luxury lifestyle, the perfect photos online, the appearance of success, even when it's all built on debt and emotional emptiness. Because what matters most is appearing superior. And this creates dangerous relationship dynamics, especially for men, because many men confuse admiration with genuine love. She praises your success, your career, your lifestyle, your financial stability, and you think she loves you deeply. But deep down, she loves what your status does for her image. That's why some narcissistic partners become resentful during financial hardship, because the relationship was never fully emotional to begin with. It was transactional. And the painful part is many men don't realize this until they lose something important. That's when they finally discover who truly loved them and who only loved the lifestyle attached to them. Trait number 5, infidelity and emotional replacement. This one hurts deeply because narcissistic relationships often begin intensely. The chemistry feels addictive. The affection feels overwhelming. The attention feels unreal. But narcissists constantly seek external validation. And eventually one person stops being enough, especially once the relationship becomes emotionally stable. Because stability feels boring to somebody addicted to attention. So they begin searching again. Texting other men, seeking validation online, creating emotional triangles, keeping backup options available. And when confronted, they often avoid accountability completely. Some deny everything. Some blame you. Some reverse the situation and make you feel guilty for questioning them. And men lose themselves trying to prove loyalty to someone who was never emotionally grounded in the first place. That's the tragedy. The more loyal he becomes, the more emotionally exhausted he gets. Because narcissistic love often feels conditional. You are valuable only while you provide admiration, validation, emotional energy, resources, attention, or status. But once somebody better appears in their mind, the emotional detachment begins. Coldness, distance, disrespect. And honestly, that emotional switch confuses men more than the betrayal itself, because they keep asking the same question. How did somebody who once loved me become so emotionally cold? But deep down, the relationship was built more on emotional consumption than emotional intimacy. Trait number 6, narcissistic parenting. This creates lifelong emotional damage because some narcissistic mothers do not see children as independent human beings. They see extensions of themselves. Your success becomes their success. Your image becomes their image. Your behavior reflects their ego. And this creates enormous pressure on children, especially sons, because love begins feeling conditional, achievement-based, performance-based. You receive praise when you succeed. You receive criticism when you fail. You feel ignored when you struggle emotionally. And over time, the child learns a devastating lesson. My value depends on performance. That belief follows many men into adulthood, into relationships, into careers, into friendships. They become approval addicts, people pleasers, emotionally anxious men terrified of disappointing others. Some men spend their entire lives chasing emotional validation from women without realizing they are chasing the emotional approval they never fully received from their mother. That realization changes everything, because healing begins the moment a man understands where his emotional patterns actually came from. Trait number 7. Competition and emotional domination. This is one of the clearest signs. Everything becomes a power struggle. Arguments, conversations, attention, social situations, achievements, relationships. Everything becomes about winning. A narcissistic woman often struggles to genuinely celebrate other people, because internally, life feels like constant competition, and when she feels insecure, she creates drama. Sometimes openly, sometimes subtly. Passive aggression, silent treatment, public embarrassment, emotional punishment, manipulation, because public dominance feeds the ego even more. And many men slowly shrink themselves in these relationships just to avoid conflict. They stop expressing opinions, stop celebrating achievements, stop speaking confidently. Not because they are weak, because psychologically they have been conditioned to avoid emotional punishment. And that's how narcissistic relationships slowly erase masculine confidence. Not all at once, little by little, until one day the man barely recognizes himself anymore. Now listen carefully. Not every difficult woman is a narcissist. Not every emotionally damaged relationship means narcissism. Not every confident woman is toxic. But patterns matter. Repeated manipulation matters. Lack of empathy matters. Constant emotional control matters. And one of the most important lessons a man can learn is this. Love should not feel like psychological warfare. You should not feel emotionally drained every single day. You should not constantly feel guilty for having needs. You should not feel afraid to speak honestly. Healthy love brings peace, not endless emotional confusion, because the worst part about narcissistic relationships isn't only the betrayal. It's what happens to your mind afterward. You start questioning your instincts, your judgment, your worth, your masculinity. And rebuilding that confidence takes time. But it begins with awareness. It begins with finally seeing the patterns clearly instead of romanticizing them, because the worst betrayal isn't always somebody lying to you. Sometimes the worst betrayal is ignoring the warning signs your instincts were trying to show you from the very beginning. If this video spoke to you, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment "Awaken" below. And remember this: a man who understands manipulation stops begging for love that destroys him. Protect your peace before attachment blinds your mind. Heal